welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's up?
Derek, we fit in the space, which is super exciting. Mm-hmm. So we are down in Hamburg with our new friend, and we're going to hear all about her story. But first, there's two things. If you're new here, welcome. We do special interviews that release every Friday, so please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. It helps our channel grow, and then it also helps us attract more fun interviewees. So thank you for all your support thus far. But we'll start with introductions. Go
Hi.
ahead. How are you?
I'm Rachelle. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice
You
to meet
too.
you.
Fun, small world, how the world works. We talked, 3 days ago? So it was just like, boop.
Yeah, we rushed this in.
Yeah, I really appreciate it for
absolutely.
everything that's going on, so thank you.
So what's going on?
Lots. So we are currently sitting in Shan and June Salon, which, again, we do all fit, so that's nice. I thought the weather would be nicer, so we'd have a sunset back there. We might get a little bit of orange and peach later on, but usually that's great. So Shan and June Salon, which is a part of Convergence Co-working, a project that I'm working on, as far as bringing South Towns and Hamburg its first co-working space. Really big on that, but I guess if we go back, that's kind of where my story begins, is with freelancing and co-working, and in addition to Convergence, and I guess, I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on. Freelance Business Week is why, I was mentioning, I was like, that's the biggest talking point.
Sure.
Freelance Business Week is coming up August 19th to the 23rd. Again, why the timing worked so well for this, so thank you.
April 19th? You said?
April 19th.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, April 19th through the 23rd. Mostly virtual. Buffalo is doing a kickoff event right next door, so 2 doors over at the Public House. We'll be doing a kickoff event at 5:30 p.m., which is in person. So we have that, and on Friday, there's a closing event at the K House, which is downtown on Main Street, I should have shouted them out. That was a good one.
So why'd you choose Hamburg for this?
So I live here.
Okay.
Love it here. I've got 2 kids, so they go to Hamburg. It's good. I'm a South Towns girl. Mm-hmm. Grew up towards Ellicottville, so this was like the city for me.
Very true.
So
Yes.
this was like a nice merge into, city living. So I've been here about 4 years.
Gotcha. And you said that you did freelance before. What did you do before?
Yeah, so I started freelancing in 2014. I was a social media manager, actually. So social media, writing, always kind of did that on the side for about 5 years. Went full-time in 2019, which was the same year I was asked to host the first Freelance Business Week. So it's been 3 years now, which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies, huh?
It really does.
So for those that have absolutely no clue what any of that means, can you explain what the job description essentially would be for someone that does freelancing and then co-working space?
Yeah, I gave you a lot of jargon there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, it's funny. I don't think it's jargon anymore. It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So let's back up.
Well, you live it for so long, it just becomes second nature.
Right. So, like you with these mics,
Exactly.
I'm trying to hear everything. It's an adjustment.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah, there's a
It's
lot going
weird.
on.
It's weird hearing your voice for the first time. When we started getting into this, and we're like, we should probably get headphones, because like you were saying, when we were talking about the studio space that Angelo has, it's very strange because you're not sure of how you sound without the headphones on. It's a completely different dynamic. And when you are talking to yourself, before you and I even had headphones on, it was like, dude, we are way off. We're not close to the mic at all. We're talking back like this. You can't hear anything we're saying. And we just didn't know because we didn't have headphones on.
And I
It's
turned into a
wild.
statue. I'm like, okay, is this good? Am I good? Like when I was on stage for the first time, I had a mic here, and they were like, hold it there. I'm like, okay.
Stage for
And
the first time.
I did my whole. I did a pitch competition. That's a whole other story. I'll tell you about later.
Well, yeah, one thing at a time.
We're uncovering a lot, man. I like it.
I know.
Yeah, but then my brain goes. It's not good.
We'll keep you on track.
So freelancing. My definition is working for yourself, by yourself, for a specific purpose. So I was a social media manager. I worked with independent and small businesses. That was my goal. And I didn't have any employees or anything like that. And at the time, I was really comfortable doing that forever. I didn't have a desire to like open a business or anything like that. I was raising my kids, doing my business. I was feeling pretty good. And then, entrepreneurship rolls in and all those other things that we'll get to. But then, I guess we're getting to it now. So working into the co-working thing, right? So that's a very long story, but long of the short is that hosted Freelance Business Week in my first year full-time freelance, which was great. Got a lot of press, which was also great.
Yeah, who approached you to run this?
Yeah, so that's part of the story.
Okay.
But I try to. Oh, it's a long one. So I hosted Freelance Business Week 2019, which at the time was an in-person week-long event. We had over 30 speakers. It was amazing. For a solo effort, in less than 2 months putting it together, I sold over 100 tickets.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Good for you.
Got, like I said, a lot of press. Got a proclamation from the mayor of Buffalo, getting another one this year, which is really fun. I love having that relationship with them and kind of, building this like new renaissance that they talk about with our city. So did that, was actually interviewed by the Hamburg Sun. So the Hamburg Sun, local paper, came to me and said they're doing an article on co-working spaces and if Hamburg needed one. I didn't, I've been to co-working spaces before. When I lived in Naples, Florida, I was exposed to them probably in 2014. Went there for like networking events, worked there one-off days, whatever. But I was like, yeah, sure. I think we should have one. That'd be great. So they interviewed me. At the time, my good friend Ashley opened Unova down in Springville. So it's another co-working space. And so they interviewed her as well. So they interviewed her and then me. And I said, yeah, Hamburg would be great. I not really in a million years thought it would be me opening one. So just really in the interview talked about being excited about it. And I was approached by a real estate investor, local woman, which is awesome. She said, do you think we really need something like this here? She was bringing me the paper. That's what it was. So she was bringing me the paper to like give me the article. And she's like, do you think we really need something like this here? And I said, yeah, I think so. Like, that'd be great if someone did it right. That was my first thing out of my mouth was like, yes, if someone did it right. And she's like, well, do you think you could do it? Like, maybe. Sure. I don't know. Let me think about it. And then I walked in my house and I called her because I was kind of just taken aback, right? And I'm like, did you just pitch me? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, let me think about it. I think I was working from home that day. Just got my kids to school. I was probably a hot mess. And yeah, so we just started talking from there. Of course, I had to write a business plan, all that fancy stuff. It took us about 6 months to find this place. But we're rolling one step at a time. That was the story. Yeah. So that's the long story. You got it.
Yeah. What was the education background? What did you go to school for?
Business and HR, which is funny because I'm not really like an HR person. So I knew business would always come in handy. Human resources. I just wanted to help people. And I read that you could make a lot of money in HR. So I was like, all right. Sure. 18-year-old me was all for it. So yeah.
Where?
Brighton Stratton.
Okay.
Orchard Park, then online, and then I moved away. Which, it proved my point. I loved college, to have something that was mine. But I took college classes in high school and I said, okay, I just want to go to college like it's a job. Go there, get it done as fast as I can. At the time, I wanted my MBA before I was 25, but that kind of... So I took, what was it? Oh my gosh, I took 12 credits every semester, 3 semesters, tri-semesters. I just went to school crazy. I got a 4-year degree in 3.5, which I just didn't want to be there, which is funny because looking back now, I'm like, wow, there's an entrepreneur right there. I just wanted to get it done because I knew it would help me, but I didn't care about the fluff. Right. So no offense to anyone who goes, to college for the experience and all that, but
you're talking to the same audience.
Okay.
When
Good.
Derek and I, so we went to college together, and it was the same thing. I mean, it was like a literal race to see who can get done faster, and then we graduated at the same time, and it was like a semester too early. We flew through college.
Do you know what it's like?
Yeah, we did not want to be there at all. We were already irritated. We're
12 to 17 credits a semester. You know what that's like too, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, I am.
Yeah. Plus working multiple jobs through college
3
just
jobs.
because there's no way to. So, yeah. So we're with you. Okay, so you crush college, you get out, and then all of a sudden you start freelancing, doing a lot of social media work. Life takes over with kids.
Yeah.
And then you are approached by a real estate investor. You say yes to that opportunity because you never say no to opportunity.
Not like that.
Hence why we're all here today. And then it basically just started rolling once a business plan got approved from the bank. Right?
Well, it was a negotiation between her and I, as long as it made sense.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Sweet.
it's a very unique
relationship. She's the bank.
It's a very unique relationship. Super grateful for it. Never take advantage of it. Everything still needs to make sense. Doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have. You can be best friends, family. And that's, I think, the business acumen is, if they're giving, you're also, what's the word?
If you're giving,
if they're giving, you're and you're reciprocating that in your way, right? Like how I can bring something to the table is what I'll try to do in an equivalent value of what she's done for me, which will be impossible, but I'll try.
It's amazing. So the co-working space is essentially a building that is broken up into different quote-unquote offices.
So, okay, I explained freelancing. Now I get to explain co-working.
Yes.
And I always have these analogies because I get asked these questions all the time. Co-working is like a gym for office people.
Okay.
Right? So you picture a building. So there's the building up front that you saw, work in progress. There's open co-working space, kind of like an open gym, and then there would be like dedicated desk space. So there's rooms that you could rent out, but then there's also private offices, I guess, like private training, if you wanted to put it that way, which is co-working. So co-working is a space that you can come if you work for yourself. You can work if you work remotely. Come into the space. You can come for one day. You can have a membership, just like a gym, and come whenever you want within those memberships, or rent like a meeting room or an event space. Like we were talking, we've got the backyard back there that's being worked on. You can rent the patio space for an event or anything like that as well. So
That's fascinating. So
have you heard of co-working before?
yes, I didn't know there's a term for it.
I know this is your interview, but
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're
peeved
fine.
now.
We're all about it. Because again, this isn't really an interview; it's a conversation.
That's
But we know it as like there's studio space or there's office space for rent. I didn't know that there's an actual industry term for that.
Yeah.
So now that's basically just connecting all the dots in our world.
Right, and I think it's similar to yes, it is real estate. Technically, it's the real estate industry. It's the commercial industry, but it's more than that. And so I guess if I'm getting into like the feelings of it, co-working is like rental office space, but with an actual community behind it. So there's actually just wrote an article for Step Out Buffalo with the co-working spaces in and around Buffalo. There's about 10, including Rochester and Erie, which is awesome. But it's still incredibly new. There's one on every other block. If you go to New York City or Austin or Miami, they're all over. But it's growing here. In each space, if you've ever gone. So I mentioned the K House, they're newer. I mentioned Unova. There's obviously, so there's Seneca 1 has Serendipity Labs now, Hansa, which just opened last summer, all very different feels. So again, very much like the gym, where certain gyms are catered towards certain types of people, or maybe like a certain geographical area. Like when I speak of Unova, you get anyone in the southern tier, they're going to go there.
Sure.
So we're Convergence is the Southtown's kind of location, and then within the city, you've got. So the K House, just running through my head, they're a BIPOC run like art gallery as well as a co-working space. So that's just like a cool little niche thing. Hansa, they have this like huge, tens of thousands of square footage, along with Serendipity Labs, also huge. So if you want to be in that big building, that iconic building downtown, like with the view, like you can get that there. You want to be in a cool, like fun, like artsy kind of gallery, you can get that at the K House.
Yeah.
Unova is very down to earth, it's in Springville, so it's very Springville in a good way. When he laughs, see, Springville's great, but it's like the modern version of Springville. It's like all the kids, we're about the same age, that when we graduated, what we wanted that town to be is who owns that place. So when you go there, you're like, yes, like finally somebody did this.
Why do you think
like, it took long enough?
Why do you think Buffalo's late to adopt this co-working idea? If you're saying that Florida has it, why? What was holding Buffalo back?
A lot of stuff holds Buffalo back,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love Buffalo so much, don't get me wrong. So I moved away in 2013, came back in 17. All the breweries and the wineries and that all exploded. Our tourist industry did stuff that I had no idea. I was like, wow, it's like a whole new city coming home, which I loved.
When did you come back again?
17.
Okay, 17.
Yeah, so I've been back 4 years. So we're slow. I love Buffalo, but we're a little bit slow, and I don't think that that's any fault of our own. I think it's just what we've been so used to, what has worked for us. We are known historically for our architecture, which is old, which is fine, and it's beautiful and it works. But there's some stuff about our city that doesn't, and that wasn't, and that as times change needs to change, and the more traditional business people may not be, getting on board with that. Honestly, I love that Hansa, Hansa is owned by Uniland. So Uniland, they, have a lot of history here. But them to branch out and do something like Hansa, like speaks volumes, which means, okay, like Buffalo is ready. The big guys are ready for it. The little guys better get going. That kind of thing. So takes those change makers, I guess. So, and again, I guess that's why I appreciate you guys having me, is because the more I can talk about freelancing and co-working to the people who go like, what is that?
Right.
The more who get it, and they're like, oh, I've been freelancing for years. I didn't know that. I've called myself a contractor, a consultant, or whatever. And it's a modern term. So it's not anything fancy by any means. It's just what we use. And then co-working probably has worked here, and people really didn't know about it. Something I do want to mention, though, so Buffalo Co-work, I believe is what it was called. That happened before its time. The year escapes me right now, but I want to say probably about the time I came back, maybe like 16, 17. It was just a group of guys who were like, let's release the space together. They all did their own thing. It was co-working. It fizzled out because we weren't ready.
People weren't ready for it, yeah.
But I hope they come back. I don't know what they're doing now, but they're welcome back.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because we have such a big startup community here, and people associate startups with like pop-up shops and everything, but there's also a lot of startup entrepreneurs who need office space.
Yeah.
So that's kind of important for your business model, is how can I provide a space for somebody to come in and work for themselves, by themselves, and not have to feel obligated to like work for somebody else because you have this space. It's very, like, I've been working from home for a larger corporation, but I've been working from home for like about 2 years now. And I wish I had somewhere to go, like an office space to go to. So there's a lot to go to that point too, about not working from home, but working from an office space that you quote unquote lease out, because it gets you out of the door, which is such a...
So my niche here is going to be freelancers, or it is freelancers, solopreneurs, and remote workers. So
cool.
Thousands of people that are like you, that I know, just a lot are in the South Towns, whether they're in Fredonia, Dunkirk, Hamburg, Orchard Park. There's really nothing for them right now. So they want to get out of the house, they can come over. Even though our main space isn't open, I will start doing co-working outside, I promise. But at the very least, like I was talking about with Freelance Business Week, just exposing yourself to it. All these people that are working from home, maybe they do something on the side. Sound familiar? That they want to start networking with other people for a different reason, but you never know how the people that you meet in that side hustle, which is something I talk about all the time, will actually impact your full-time, maybe your daytime. You never know. So
there's also... Probably the easiest example is a licensed massage therapist, because they could work for a salon full time, but then also have their own practice on the side, and then they would use your space for their own studio or spa or salon or whatever the proper term is, which I should know because that's literally what my dad does. But that's besides the point.
That's funny. In the salon, there's a massage therapist across the hall. So
yeah, because a lot of everybody kind of partners together, like salons, chiropractors. And then massage
salons
therapists
and medical offices have been doing their own version of co-working for a very long time. Like I was saying, it's not new.
No.
It's just new to us.
Yeah. So. It's just crazy that, I don't know, I mean, why? Like, why is there always just a new term? Again,
I get it. It's trendy. Yeah.
Right, but at the same point, it goes back to the original point of Buffalo's just behind. Like, why don't you just call it what it was? Why do we have to call it something new? And then in reality, it's just... The new term that we're using is just a much better descriptive way of saying whatever you were saying for the last 15 years. But yeah, I mean, the fastest way to identify if Buffalo's up to speed is fashion. Like, we still wear Uggs. Go anywhere else, we don't wear Uggs. So it drives me nuts.
That's true.
And then guys with cargo shorts.
It's true.
Guys don't wear cargo shorts outside of Buffalo. No. But here we are wearing the cargo shorts. We're like, well, we need pockets, man.
The only place I've been to that's been worse is Cape Cod. Cape Cod still has mini golf in every corner, and I just don't get
Vineyard Vines. You can't escape it.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Vineyard Vines.
Vineyard Vines, salmon shorts, and Sperry's. And they all look the same in South Carolina.
No to it, but like, no, I know what you're saying.
It's so annoying.
Well, so interestingly enough, I'm a bit of an old soul. So when I explain it in the new terms and just for who I know, and actually when you start talking to the seasoned freelancers, like I said, they come and they're like, oh, I am a freelancer. I've just been a consultant for these many years. I'm like, that's fine. Like, I really, honestly, don't really care what you call yourself.
Right.
If you know what you want to do and you're enjoying what you're doing, and I think that's like my purpose most of the time, is just to help people do something that they enjoy. There's a lot of people doing things that they don't enjoy, the dead-end desk job, or just something that doesn't make them happy, and they're like, oh, well, it's too good to be true to make a lot of money and also do what I love. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. And they're like, well, why do you feel that way? And I'm not saying I'm over here like, doing crazy. You know, I don't have a yacht or like a,
Right.
you know, or like what were we talking about earlier? Just like a plane event or anything. But I'm like, all right, we're making small moves in our community that make a difference for those people. Aside from the co-working space and Freelance Business Week, I coach now. So I'm not a social media manager anymore, even though that's where I started.
Yeah.
I started coaching within the last year and a half just because I was doing it for I was doing freelance for about a decade. And
So coaching small businesses?
so now I coach aspiring freelancers.
There
So
you
that's
go.
like
Okay,
my other
cool.
business, right?
I didn't
So
know if it was like softball or something.
Yeah, I was gonna
You're a
say,
huge
so you're
softball-
coaching
well, so
volleyball.
I was getting there. So like in the scheme of things, former social media manager turned coach for aspiring freelancers because I get a lot of those same questions. What's freelance? How do I do it? What do I do? And all those steps. And in the years I've done it, I've learned a lot of the answers. So I'm like, this is how I can serve people now. This is how I can help them. So doing that and then creating hosting Freelance Business Week in addition to that just gave more resource. And in the first year it was just Buffalo. So it's Freelance Business Week Buffalo. But like I said, this year it's being held in conjunction with 6 other cities,
Really?
which I love. And kind of going back to us being more traditional, we weren't on the board with them before. So it's Austin, Dallas, Tampa, Miami, Denver, and Kansas City.
Yeah, so powerhouses.
We were not on that list ever.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't even
before
think we're in the
this.
same conversation.
Right.
Right. Well, I put us there. So we can do
Good
that.
for you.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Snaps for
cheers to
me.
that. That's awesome.
which is great. Well, and actually the way it came about is I found Freelance Business Week and all I found was like Austin. It was Austin, Miami, Tampa, and Denver at the time. It was like 4 cities. And I approached the founder. I was like, why doesn't Buffalo, why aren't we here? You know, I'm like, I freelance. I'm like, I'm pretty good at what I do. I think there's a community here. And at the time there were very little co-working spaces. It was more, and like freelance, it was more like the 43 North, which I wanted to tip my hat to that because 43 North like changed us.
Sure.
Like it completely changed
Right.
our city, which love them. Have a meeting with them tomorrow.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Yeah.
Seriously, not sorry.
Literally, yeah, we
I
literally
just
don't
love
have any
them.
sponsors. So it's fine.
Open.
Open to sponsorships,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yes, definitely. Talking to them in the next coming days. I'll let them know.
It's crazy how fast they blew up.
It was-
43 North.
Yeah, but they do what we all want to do. They're doing a great thing for people, for an underserved market in a city that needs it. Like, it's really that simple.
Right.
It's not rocket science.
Right.
So same thing with freelancing is that people are here, they want to do it, they just don't know how. That's usually what it boils down to. So, but anyway, going back to not being on the board with these other cities, and I think it was more so just me moving away and coming back and being like, man, this city's awesome now. I'm like, wait, why aren't we with these guys? So, got in cahoots with her and she's just like, well, why don't you be the host? I'm like, oh, okay. Well, okay. I'm like, it was my first year freelancing full time. I said, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I know enough about this to get started. And I was only about 5 years in part-time freelancing at the time. Didn't think I was ready. She's like, Marie, just try it. And Emily Leach, fantastic woman, inspired me to literally the next moments of my life that would transform all the stuff we already talked about. Without Freelance Business Week, honestly, I don't know if I would have been fully successful full time. I definitely wouldn't have Freelance Business Week. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to talk about co-working, and I wouldn't have this space.
Sure.
So, like, honestly, cheers to that, because life is wild.
Yeah. So
kidding.
going back to your former life with the freelance stuff and social media managing, what do you see that most small businesses do that, like, on social media that's just bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm sure that there's probably 20 things going through your mind right now.
To do another.
Well, yeah, I mean, she followed us, and then she's like, okay, everything that you guys do.
Stop
Yeah,
it. That's
right.
not true. Not true at all, and that's not because we're friends. Okay. It's social media. I think it lacks being genuine. That's my biggest
sure.
thing. I talk about this all the time, just with friends and stuff. I loved doing social media as a job because, much like anything, because it was ever changing, right? So the world of freelancing, now that I'm a coach, like, that's ever changing, and the more I learn, the more I can coach. But being in social, the small businesses that I was working with had no idea what was going on ever. So if I knew, like, just a little bit more, which freelance tip number 1, know a little bit more than your client, you'll be fine. Like, you don't have to be this huge expert that you think you need to be to do it. I like saying that. But being genuine, posting whenever, whatever, isn't always the best way. I could sit here and do social media tips forever, but that's a rabbit hole.
Maybe we'll have another discussion on that.
That's a
Since
rabbit hole.
I mean, that's part of your business now too.
So I took
you're
a
a
step
coach,
back.
right?
Yes. So I took a step back from social media consulting per se, because I have to do so much for myself now,
Sure.
right? So I want to grow myself as a coach. Freelance Business Week is a big deal. It's a lot that goes into that campaign, and then really raising the funds. I have an I Fund Women campaign for the co-working space. So that's 3 businesses right there.
Sure.
I'm 3 of my own clients. I don't have the capacity for any more.
Right.
And thankfully, I have wonderful people and like coaches in my life who help me have like a list of priorities. And if it doesn't fall within that, then we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So, yes, I will
there's-
talk about social.
Yeah.
But hire me to do it anymore, I'll say I have referrals.
All right, perfect. Because there's a lot people do not know about social media. They think that it's just a post and you're good. But there's so many algorithms you have to get into and certain stuff. We can have a totally different conversation once things calm down a little bit for you.
I swear, and literally this is probably the only time I swear. 'Cause I don't swear much, but like fuck the algorithm.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's awful.
Awful.
Yeah, it's
It
terrible.
will screw you all day, every day. Just post what you like when you like it. You know your audience better than anybody else
yeah.
does. Like, screw it. Like, just, I'm so over it. And I think it's because working in the industry for so long, yes, there's endless possibilities of what you can do on social, your reach, your impact. Like, yes, there's all those amazing, great things. But people get so wrapped up in, when do I do this? When do I do that? Oh, people didn't like that. They didn't like this. And who cares?
Right.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
You know, did you get, you can make sales. You can make sales in other ways. You don't have to just do social.
I think the biggest thing that we learned was just we thought starting off we had to do paid like promotions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We did one. We're like, we're never doing this again.
Yeah. Does it? And it was within like the first 2 months. And we're like,
We'll have another conversation.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna love me.
Perfect. Let's do it.
My what's it? I don't know. My explanation on how to do that. It's like you're not gonna pay for your friends.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
And ad dollars. You're just competing with all the other big guys. So I used to have this thing. It's called the social media house. I don't remember the full metaphor anymore, but it was more like be you, be your brand, who you are, which you guys clearly have that, so you already have it. I'll give you a free audit right now. So you already have your brand, who you are. You love talking to good people. You're genuine. That's huge. And then just like being consistent and then doing more, right? Doing more than being on social. You're getting out. You're doing interviews like this. Maybe you host events. Maybe you do networking, like things like that. That's what's going to drive your business. And those people from those additional things you do are going to come back on social. I mean, what did we do, right? Like
Right.
you did your little question, for people to pitch who you should talk to. You got over flooded with that. That was better than any ad campaign you'll probably ever do.
Sure.
People want to help other people. And we're slowly but surely getting better at that. Like people aren't as selfish anymore. And I think that's another
It's a good
business
point.
mindset.
No doubt. And I think a lot of it is because, I mean, we all graduated around the same time, both from high school and college. And it's fascinating because the whole motto that we were ingrained with was Buffalo's a city of good neighbors. And I honestly feel like we're the second generation to legitimately strive for that.
We are it
and
now.
yes, but we're the first generation to actually take action to enforce it and not just
believe you.
talk about it.
I agree with you 100%.
So-
like I was saying, yeah.
It's just insane that I think now finally that's kind of the big turn. Plus all the economics behind it made a lot of sense. The housing market, the investment market,
Or cost of living here.
cost of living,
It's-
everything, and that's why
For
you're
startups
seeing.
and freelancers, it just makes sense.
Yeah, and then that's why you see the big players come back from, say, like downstate. They come to Buffalo and then start
I always
another
say
business in
everybody
Buffalo
moves
because
back.
and plus it makes sense,
moves back.
especially if you have kids. You can get anywhere in 20
Your
minutes. There's
family.
great schools.
Yeah, all over
like,
the place.
There's a ton of restaurants. You don't have to worry about anything crazy. You can just live your life.
You could go on
And-
forever about why Buffalo is a great place to live. You just
No
have to be
doubt.
able to hack it in all four seasons. It's really not that hard, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing it forever, right?
Just get a snowblower. That's all I'm saying. Just get a snowblower and you'll
I mean,
be fine.
you're
That
also
should
talking.
be a commercial.
You're
Hearing
talking-
that this way,
like,
get a snowblower.
Get a snowblower.
Like, I can't even do it like
Aaron's
that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Seriously,
Yeah, right.
that was pretty good.
Thank you.
That's all you need.
You're also talking to a woman from Springville, so
That's
she's
true,
like, if
yeah.
you can't hack it in 4 seasons, I'll tell you what.
I mean, I don't have an accent.
Yeah, I don't think she's from the
Yeah,
South.
I know. Like,
She's from
where did that come from?
Technically, she's from the South.
I'll tell you what.
South, I know. I don't sound like that. I did grow up on a 100-acre farm, so
See?
Oh, nice.
I mean, I did, but I don't have an accent.
But I slaughter chickens, Mike. But I slaughter chickens.
We're friendly.
Yes, you are.
Really?
I love Springville. I'm there a lot for work.
Ellicottville honestly, that's like my home. You know, we love living there, being there, but you're right, talking about how people, we all wanted to get out, right? So I don't know if you guys moved away or anything, but I did. I wanted to get out. I did. I came back home. And then what did I do? I made it a better place. But that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I'm so proud to do that. I'm not saying I might be here forever. I might not. I might move away again. But in the meantime, it's a great place. There's a lot of different reasons, but when you go away, you learn a lot of stuff, and you can bring that back here.
Exactly.
And you can be the smartest person in the room. You just have to know a little bit more. And it's not that what we've done hasn't been done before, and what Buffalo is trying to achieve hasn't been done. It's been done in cities across the country, but we want to do it in our own way. And I think going back to our generational thing, in Buffalo being the city of good neighbors, we are going to do it our own way. We're not, when people say we're the next Silicon Valley, I'm like, I don't want to be that, because it's like really old now. Like, it's been a while.
Right.
And we're not Silicon Valley, we're Buffalo. So I want to do co-working our way. I want to do, independent and business owning our way. And the community has always been unique here. So that's like not even a question.
Correct.
What was I going to say about Freelance Business Week? Oh, I was writing a blurb. So for this event, so our new event, again, being hosted with 7 other huge cities, and we've been on the board for 3 years. It's funny, other city organizers are coming to me asking me how I did mine, and I'm like, oh, you're coming to Buffalo for advice? Okay.
That's awesome.
I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But I was writing our blurb, and I was working on it with a friend, and she was like, what makes Buffalo exciting? And I basically, I talked about the Bills, talked about wineries, breweries, I talked about I did not talk about the Sabres. I did love them for a short period of time growing up. Red, black, and white.
Yeah, as soon as they got rid of Brewery and Rare, I lost interest.
Those are the only colors I want, red, black, and white. When I was writing them, I watch sports. I play lots of them. There's not a lot to do down in the South, you know?
Correct.
No, but I was it was amazing to be able to write about these things so it was obviously Niagara Falls, our architecture, wineries, breweries, our business, the 4 seasons. I mean, that's something that if you embrace it, it's incredibly unique, especially compared to the cities I was talking about before. And then every time I'm out, and we did briefly talk about the pitch competition I was in New York City, but I will tell you that any of the times that I've been on stage at a freelance-oriented conference or pitch competition, I always end it with "Go Bills."
Nice.
And then I do tell them that they're invited. And a lot of people come up to me after and they're like, I had no idea Buffalo was like this, or like, I had no idea you had that there, or like, oh, I didn't know you had like your own breweries and wineries. They have this super old picture of Buffalo in their head, and it's up to us to like get it out that we're not. So like, that's my...
So pitch competition, you're talking about like Shark Tank. It's not like a Pitch Perfect type singing
right,
stuff, right?
Yeah, no,
okay,
no singing. We explained that.
Can you
No
combine
singing.
those two though? Because that'd be really cool.
I mean,
too.
you probably could.
Singing pitches?
Yeah.
I don't know. 43 North, take notes. That would be like a pitch competition. That would be interesting.
So like, were you the facilitator of that?
No, so freelancing females, so into the freelance world still, had a huge impact on my life. So a good friend of mine, T. Meyer, founded that in 2016 or 17. But they had a smaller pitch competition. So it was their first pitch competition. I'll be careful when I say that. And it was, when was that? Fall of last year, so fall of 2020. They're based out of New York City, out of Brooklyn, so they kind of kept it to the Northeast region for people to enter, but they did it in conjunction with Oxygen Bank, like a regular pitch competition, super small, but like their first collaborative effort, per se, as like their community. Freelancing Females is now, it's like over 200,000 women across the world, like it's amazing. But the pitch competition itself, you like applied and said like what you were doing. I used Convergence Co-working at the time, said this is something that I'm working on, you have to pitch. I didn't win, but it was okay. I was a finalist, which there were 4 of us, and we pitched on stage in Long Island City, Brooklyn, right?
Oh,
Long Island
sweet.
City, Brooklyn, in October of last year. So that was the pitch competition. Super fun. Didn't win, but it was amazing to go there and talk about what I was working on and meet other women who were like me.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And that's another thing about talking about freelancing and co-working, is that you find other people like you. Similar to the first year I did Freelance Business Week, they were like, are there freelancers in Buffalo? I'm like, I don't know, we're gonna find out. So I found them.
Yeah. It has to be a large group, right?
Well, there were over 100 in my first year, and then last year, fun fact, you guys are gonna love this. It was a free event until this year. So this year the tickets, they're only $50 for the whole week. It's not bad, but until now they were free. But last year we had, what was it? Austin, Buffalo, Tampa, Miami. So 4 cities. Other 3. I mean, we are big. Like, we keep acting like we're not a big city, but we really are. Size-wise,
we just get overshadowed by New York City. That's all it is.
It's that, and we also, in our own heads, it's our fault too. Mm-hmm. We're like, oh yeah, those are big cities. Like, we're a big city too. Maybe we forget. But anyway, when we had our registrations for that, and I brag about this all the time, the other organizers hear it all the time. We had more registrations than 2 of those other cities put together. Yeah, it was really awesome.
Wow.
I'm super proud of that. Like, so proud. It was super fun. And I was like, we are here. So I got to keep doing what I'm doing, even though it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So volunteers welcome.
Right? Yeah. How do people...
I can plug that.
How do they volunteer?
I mean, I do have volunteers this year, which they're great.
Sure.
Really just reaching out to me, social media, finding me in whatever which way works.
So talking about your buildings and your areas that you have right out front, I don't even know if we talked about where exactly we are, but how can somebody follow you and figure out when some space is available? Because I'm sure that there's going to be some people that want to at least come check it out.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, I want to start doing our monthly happy hours outside.
Oh,
so
cool.
Starting towards the end of April.
Relax on the name of that event.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, happy hour. You want a happy hour everywhere now?
Yeah, we're suing Fridays right now. Just like
Okay.
Yeah, it's patent pending.
Well, actually, we call them. What is it? The name is Siesta Fridays. So it has nothing to do with you.
Okay, yeah, then we're good then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll call the lawyer back. We're fine.
We're good. Okay. We're chill.
I'll delete the drafted email.
But yeah, so we're at 4900 Lakeshore Road in Hamburg. We are, like we were talking earlier, we're a 3-part building. So Shannon June Salon is fully operational, functioning. We have an Airbnb on the side, which is awesome. And then the co-working space, I'm working diligently to open that space. Mm-hmm. I am self-funded, other than, my investor being amazing and having this property. That building it's my responsibility. Mm-hmm. So it's a work in progress.
Do you have an estimated time frame, or are you just kind of
I'd love to be open by the summer, at least before we have to go back inside again.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been saying that for a little while now, but life happens.
Right.
Stuff happens.
There's 4 spots, 4 different areas on there, separate areas?
So it's an old house.
Okay.
So actually it's about 1,400 to 1,600 square feet. Downstairs, upstairs, there'll be open co-working, designated desks, a couple private offices, and the podcast studio, which I welcomed you to. So
that's so cool.
Yes.
You have a South Towns location now.
Yeah. What was the thought process behind doing that? Because it seems also, I mean, podcasts are on the up and up. People are consuming their information that way rather than the news. So what was your thought process on incorporating a podcast? Because there's really not many podcasts in the Buffalo area at all that we know of, at least.
Podcast studios.
Yeah, or podcasts in general. Yeah. So why did you decide to do that?
Well, your friend, the Hurdle Sound Lab. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just learning about sound and how it's trending. I mean, yes, podcasts are great, and don't get me wrong, people have been asking me to do a podcast for the co-working space before it even happened. And as much as I love this, I love interviewing, I like being here, I do not want to run a podcast. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
I watched you guys set all this up. I don't want to do that. Unless if I had a member that was like, Marie, I want to do a podcast and interview our members and do all this stuff, I'm like, that is a great idea. Go for it. Like I said, I've got a very short list of priorities, and if it's not in that, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to serve that audience because I do see value in podcasting, value in audio, video. I mean, you guys do the whole bit. But even just the audio, it's more digestible these days. And I wanted to support it. And I also believe that freelancers and solopreneurs need those additional outlets for potential exposure, revenue streams if they get real good, right? So I wanted to be able to build that in. And until, depending on the date of this podcast, the co-working spaces in Buffalo, nobody really has one. I don't like saying stuff like that, because I'm like, I don't want to say no one has one when they kind of do. There's rooms that can be used as that, but that's being the sole purpose.
Yeah.
Radius Co-work in Erie, Pennsylvania, they have a podcast studio, huge, about the size of this room.
Oh, really?
All sound foam. It's amazing. They've got all this stuff set up. It's great. So they inspired me partially as well. So.
Yeah, and there has to be an affordable option to do this type of stuff because, I mean, talking about Hurdle Sound Lab, Angelo. I mean, he's one of our closest contacts now, and he's just a great dude. And he's offering somebody a spot to record their music in cheaper than you would find anywhere else because he just wants to help the community. And you're going to do that the same way with this podcast studio.
When I saw the studio and I was like, I want one.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is tiny. I'm like, I have like this little room. I'm like, can you do this? He's like, yeah. So I mean, he's on the books. It's already in the works.
He's a wizard
when it's open.
Yeah.
So and you know, I've learned so much about sound. I actually had Angelo record a commercial thing for me when I did I did a little feature with Buffalo Rising, and I needed my audio done, and I did not have any of this, which kind of going back to talking about how much work this is, like every freelancer, solopreneur, entrepreneur can't make this setup in their house. It's going to cost them so much money. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, just learning about the quality that good audio brings you, that was just another reason to like want to do it.
Yeah.
You know? So.
It's awesome. I mean, the intro songs are on the intro and outro are from Angelo, so he does a great job.
Heard it.
So your social media, where are you on social media? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can follow me. It's at Marie Rachelle with an underscore at the end. Couldn't claim that one. But you can find me on Clubhouse at Marie Rachelle without the underscore.
Nice.
I got the whole thing. So if you're not there, go claim your tag now.
We got Buffalo Happy Hour at 12 because somebody had Buffalo Happy Hour.
No way.
Yeah, I was so mad.
I'm blown away.
I know.
That's crazy.
it's upsetting.
I tried messaging them, but they're deceased or something. They're not letting that go. And they just won't respond to me.
Did you say deceased or diseased?
I mean, both. I don't know. Either or.
Either way made me laugh.
Right.
No, so Instagram at Marie Rachelle with an underscore or Convergence Co-working. I mean, that's if you want to follow that. I have so many handles. I'm not going to throw them all at you, but we're all there. If you find my personal account, you'll find everything else. That's usually my take. I'm like, oh, well, I want all the followers. And then you can pick the things that you like that I do.
Yeah. So is your next thing that you want to do more buildings like this, or are you just trying to digest this one first? Like, what's next?
Everyone keeps asking me that. They're like, oh, yeah, you're going to open one in East Aurora? You're going to do this? You're going to do that? I'm like, let me open the first one first. Well, and even so, as much as I love my friends and family and support, I was like, when are you opening? I'm like, guys, I'm self-funded. I'm like, you get this, right? I'm like, you know what those words mean? Like, not trying to be condescending, but just, you know. It's a lot of work, you know, and things happen that you can't expect. You know, there was a lot of work we had to do at the town of Hamburg to get our planning. Architects. I had to get architectural drawings done. Those have been in works, and that is not cheap for anyone that's ever had an architect. No, not cheap. So it's just everything works in step by step. And what I'm super grateful for is that the people in the community that we've built know that. Like, they know, oh, okay, yeah, like, you're doing outdoor co-working, you don't have patio furniture yet, like, you're not ready yet, but like, okay, we'll bring lawn chairs. You have Wi-Fi? Yeah, like, Wi-Fi, I'm good, guys. Thanks to Shannon June Salon. So we borrow the Wi-Fi for now, but that's the thing, it's very real, it's very down to earth, so people know that when this is done, which hopefully won't be so much longer from now, they're gonna be like, you did that. Yeah. We did that. You know, as I get, you know, my friends who build furniture, they build the furniture, and my friends who come and I pay them with beer to paint over there. Like, they'll be proud of it. And that's what really, and kind of talking about co-working versus commercial space being done, is that people are invested in it.
Right.
That's what I want. I want them to be like, oh yeah, I painted that wall, or oh yeah, I built that podcast studio. So if they need anything, or if they know anyone that needs anything, guess what they're gonna say? They're gonna say my name or that name of, you know, the company. So it's all about building community and just like inspiring people to do things that they're passionate about. That's
no doubt.
I think that's what I want to do. You know, while on my way, probably a little quicker than planned, but super grateful.
And that's a crazy thing. Most people don't understand how long it takes for something to actually occur, especially if you're self-funded, because they're like, oh, you're a business, like, why don't we just do this? It's like, where do you think all this comes from? Like, I'm not sitting on $1 gajillion. Like, there's no capital. Like, relax. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but you said you're this title, and then all of a sudden they just assume all this other stuff is done. It's no, man, like, I got a meeting at 4:00 to figure out how I can even do this because I don't know what's going on yet. And I mean, that even happens with us. Like, people find out we're a business and they're just like, oh, why don't you just work with these people? It's like, what are you going to do? Get on the phone and call them?
This will turn into a rant sesh real quick, you guys. Like,
that's fine.
Can we do that?
Yeah. Why not?
No, I'm so grateful for my investor. She's amazing. Like I said, she believes in me. And I would not be doing this without her. I'd be a happy little freelancer, organizing Freelance Business Week all by myself, just moving along. I'd be fine. I got my kids, like, I'm busy, I'm good. But it's like when someone comes to you with something like that, you're like, nah, I gotta make that happen. Like, I don't care what it takes. Blood, sweat, tears, literally all of the things. Yep. It will happen. And it's gonna be worth it. And I like showing my kids, that I work really hard and that if you want something, you can do it. And when they're older, you know how kids are and how we were, they don't appreciate it right away. Right. But when they're older, like, oh yeah, like drive by that, be like, oh yeah, my mom opened that. Like I can already hear that in my head. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, that means that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's the drive.
So that's the biggest thing. So yeah.
That's so exciting.
I know. It's a lot of work. That's why when I was sitting here, I'm like, oh, what do I talk about? Because you guys kept, you're like, oh yeah, we'll talk about everything. I'm like, man, there's a lot.
Yeah, there is. But I mean, you're
overwhelming amount of things.
You do a lot. So
I do.
Anything that we didn't talk about, did you want to touch on?
I just try to be better at not doing so many things.
Yeah.
The self-care part. That's really important. Seriously.
It is.
Having a short list of priorities, sticking to it. That's really like where I
had to struggle.
I had to get better.
Yes.
Right. So yes, I struggle.
Yes.
Is the better word for it. But where I have to improve and where again the community comes in handy. And if I didn't have the volunteers that work with me for Freelance Business Week, if I didn't have my clients, honestly, I've got a client or two. They coach me right back. I'm like, you're still paying for me for this, right? Because like you're teaching me stuff too. I said I'll hit you back. I promise. And I mean, obviously all is well. We're good, but there's just so much we can learn from each other in that community, and just having that commonality is important. I think just overall, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're freelance, whether you're a startup, whether you're a small business or a large corporation. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that Buffalo can do differently is bring all those, what we look at as separate entities together. So I work really hard to make have the freelance industry work with staffing companies or work with startups. Convergence Online actually has a series. It's called Freelancers Serving Startups. We didn't talk about that, but it's okay. But it's because I wanted to start dipping into that pool because I didn't understand it. I didn't have a startup, so I didn't see any reason to be involved. But with things going more online, I'm like, all right, well, let's do Freelancers Serving Startups. And we host it in conjunction with Venture Herd, which I don't know if you've heard of them yet. Mm-hmm. But Dan Abatoy, he's great. So we host a panel basically of freelancers offering a panel of free resources for aspiring or startups. We did a Business 101 panel. We're going to do a marketing panel next week, or this week. This is the 5th, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So this week, and we're just going to offer our expertise, and I want to do that to prove that you don't always have to have employees to be a successful business.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are a lot of more savvy ways to get what you need.
Yeah. Dan's a good friend of mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a good dude. So
really?
You're going to... Have you met with him before?
Yeah, no, we talk all the time.
Yeah, he's awesome.
No, he's great.
And what both of you are doing is just trying to help the small businesses.
We do the same thing for 2 different niches.
Yeah.
But we're bringing them together.
Which is huge. Like you said, you need to kind of get commonality between everybody, so everybody's supporting everybody else.
Yep, and it's not about what we do, it's literally the people that do it.
So speaking of that, do you have a Slack channel or any type of channel for people to communicate with the different businesses that you're going to do, like work with or anything like that?
So Convergence Co-working online. So we're not open physically, but I do have an online community. So if you're on the Instagram, how old am I?
that Instagram thing, it's social media.
It's that app with the square.
The Instagram. If you're on Instagram, Convergence Co-working, you can find the link there. It's convergencecoworking.com too, so I guess you can find it that way. You made me laugh really hard with that.
So freelancers for small businesses, just getting back to that, can people sign up to like how can people make that connection if small businesses need freelancers?
Oh, we didn't talk about this. Oh, you guys, I don't want to take too much time, but
we literally, the cameras are still rolling, so you're fine.
I know, you're just going to edit what you need.
The whole thing is going live. I don't know.
Okay.
Right after we press stop, it's right up there.
Oh, great. I had to slow down, so I wasn't drinking so faster than you guys. You guys finally finished before me. That's good. So I have to tip my hat to Mike Gluck. So he started a freelance directory some years ago. So he wrote 40 Tips for Freelancers. Years ago, I read that. It was a great book. Still haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet, trying. But it inspired me to create another directory that was living, breathing, and moving. So if you visit, like his site, it's got a list of great freelancers, so I'd highly recommend that. But I wanted to create something kind of in our times, right? So I have a Google form for freelancers. It's called the Western New York Freelance Directory. And so freelancers can put their information there, and then it goes onto a Google sheet, basically, where anyone can go. It's a link off of, convergencecoworking.com, Western New York Freelance, what did I say? Western New York Freelance Directory is the word. You can go there, and it's a whole list of people. It's got their name, their contact information, what their specialties are, and, like how to reach them, their social media portfolio.
Yeah.
And created that So Mike had something really great. I was also inspired by Freelancing Females. So Freelancing Females now has a directory, which is a very sophisticated directory. And I said, well, we need that here. And we need it at more than what we currently have. So started something else. Not that I needed any more to do, but I did.
Yeah.
I guess
we just keep lifting up rocks, and you're like, oh, yeah, I do that too.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Well, so in conjunction with the freelance directory, that actually branched from the Western New York Freelance and Co-work Alliance. So that was something I created in the last year. Thank goodness that they're not all full-time jobs. They're all like little jobs here and there. The college thing never rolled away. Going to college, working 3 jobs, I just do that.
Sure.
Adult.
Right.
I just do that as an adult now. So I teach, and then I 3 jobs. But the Western New York Freelance and Co-work Alliance is basically 2 alliances where we meet every month. The co-work community, or people who are here, we meet monthly, and then freelancers, we also meet monthly. It's just people who want to take that extra step to get together every month to either network or share news or share, what's going on. That's usually where I'll drop information like this. They're like, we want to know what podcasts we can be on, or what's trending in, I don't know, blogs.
Sure.
What are the social media trends? What are, anything we want to talk about within those areas specifically, updated sanitation for co-working spaces, where did you buy your lights? That kind of stuff. We just have a meeting, so where we can just cover it, so we're not all over the place doing that. So
it's crazy because you're essentially designing a Dropbox for all these different avenues that people can go in and go under a different file inside of the same Dropbox.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Essentially, yeah, so conversion, and I guess it all branches from everything, right? So I guess if you do this timeline kind of quickly, Freelancer, Freelance Business Week, Convergence Co-working, and then, like I said, my life completely blossomed from there. Then it went from the co-working space into the alliances. The Co-work Alliance was kind of on its way with the Freelance Business Week because I had to work so closely with them to make Freelance Business Week successful. And I'm pretty sure it was already on the docket, but co-working spaces, obviously freelancers are a bread and butter for them. If they're not working with professionals or remote workers, that was a completely missed niche, which they do cater to them, the ones that exist. But for me, it is still a unique differentiator for me that freelancers, solopreneurs, that's who I serve. Some of the couple other ones are they serve maybe startups a little bit more. K-House has an incubator and a mentorship program based towards VC. I'm not going to have that. So like I said, you've got to find the place that works for you.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah, no, I think I covered all of it.
Yeah.
That was exhausting. I'm tired.
Yeah, well, it's been an hour, so it's been a great discussion.
An hour of you having me talk about myself, which I actually don't like doing. So.
Well, thanks for agreeing to talk about yourself.
Yeah, really.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you for everything. Anybody, if you want to go follow her, she said her social media. We'll link it also in here.
Cool.
She's got a lot of stuff going on, so you have to follow her and then get in touch with her and see if you can help volunteer for Freelance Week.
Yeah, volunteer for Freelance Week, donate to the iFund Women campaign, whatever works. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you for doing everything for Buffalo and for women and helping out, because there's not a lot of people that are able to literally comprehend what has to go in to do certain things in that entire sphere.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Before we leave, what do you think of Keep Buffalo Secret? What do you think about that?
I take lots of pictures in front of the mural. They're right next to the K-House, so I'm there all the time.
Oh, okay.
And then I guess the traditional response is oh, the secret's out.
Oh, brother.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But Keep Buffalo Secret.
We talk about this all the time because
Really?
like it's a great slogan.
I don't-
But why? Why would you want to keep up with the secret?
Well, first of all, it's not a secret. We were born in the erie 90s. Okay, so like
People know who we are.
Yeah.
It's whether or
Well,
not
that's what
they
I mean,
like
like-
us is the question.
Right, that's true.
We're literally the city of light, like the
Like, they
Erie
know who we
Canal,
are.
Niagara Falls. Like people know
we-
Buffalo. Grow up. You know what I mean? Like you're not keeping anything a secret. It's been around for literally hundreds of years.
I think there's no real slogan, so I'm cool with that slogan. It looks good, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think really what it is that it's like something that you can't teach or show. It doesn't. I mean, if you live here long enough, you'll become one. But it's just like the spirit of being a Buffalonian. I mean, there's no one like us. We're great. We're a little weird, but we're so unique, and we want to help people like other people don't.
Yes.
And if you go to other cities, it might work out for you, it might not.
Sure.
It's just we're all a certain kind of way. But yes, I know we covered so much. So for people who actually listen to the whole thing all the way to the end, thank you. But just I'm incredibly passionate, clearly, about freelancing and co-working. I just want to bring it together. And sometimes the things that you're coerced into doing or pushed into doing that weren't something you were quite ready for, like that's definitely what you need to keep doing. So I'm always uncomfortable. Like that's the thing in business
good.
and to grow.
Yeah.
To always be uncomfortable. You can't be comfy if you want to do better.
Cool.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.